Hello everybody. I thought that I would make another video because I accidentally erased the part where I had spoke about the young black man that was followed in a neighborhood down in Sarasota, Florida by these group of white men in this it looked like an affluent area because the homes cost like between a $500,000 to $1 million. So it was a pretty affluent neighborhood in Sarasota, Florida. And Sarasota, Florida is not that big of a town or city. So when you see black people that live in those type of areas in a town that's small are probably few and far in between. So I guess they figured that this young black man was out of bounds and had no business in being in that neighborhood. So they decides to stop him and follow him because he was in that neighborhood. So, it was like 3 or 4 of them. It looked like middle-aged white men, and the boy was about 18. And so he's walking around because he said he was trying to get a good signal on his phone because of Hurricane Milton had knocked out the power. He didn't have any power, so he was walking around and, he's trying to find a good signal on the phone. So they felt like they needed to stop him and interrogate him and ask him for his freedom papers, like this is the Black Codes revisited or something in 2024. They thought that they can ask him like he's some slave or something, a newly freed slave, ask where his freedom papers are, because he was walking around in that area. So the boy, he didn't give in to them. He immediately took out his phone and started recording like any smart black man should do nowadays. That's why I say black men, keep your phones charged up. And anytime you are approached by a police officer, I don't care what race they are, anytime you are approached by a group of white people, any white person, especially a white woman, turn your phone on and start recording immediately, because we know what white women can do. As a matter of fact, it was a white woman that kicked this whole thing off because she went and told her husband that this young black man had said something to her or flirted with her. Same as a white woman did to Emmett Till. What was that, in 1955? White woman told a lie on 14-year-old Emmett Till. Now, Emmett was, he was in a different surrounding. Emmett was from Chicago. He's 14 years old. He went down to Chicago and visited some relatives for the summer. He walked into this store, and he said something. I don't know if he said something to the white woman or not, but she went back and told her husband that he flirted with her or something. So the husband went and got his brother-in-law and a group of others, and they went and got Emmett Till, snatched him up out of his house, out of his aunt's bed. I think he was staying with an aunt. Snatched him up in the middle of the night, took him, beat him, lynched him, and killed him, threw him in the river. And when they turned up, when the authorities found him, he turned up, his face was totally disfigured. These men got acquitted by a jury of their peers of all white people. So they got away with Emmett Till's murder. But you know what? What happened to them? They may have got acquitted, but their lives were completely destroyed after that, because in that little small town, I think it's Money, Mississippi. In that small town, after they did what they did, Emmett Till, and got acquitted, they had a lot of a large black clientele, and a lot of the black customers they stopped doing business with that family at their store. And, for the blacks that did that, some of the blacks just flat out moved away from that town after that. And the woman that told the lie, to her husband, they eventually ended up divorcing. So, and then I think the men that killed Emmett Till, they ended up dying, penniless, and they really paid for it. They may not have paid for it in the American justice system, but they paid for it in other aspects, and who knows, they're probably paying for it in the afterlife too, because they killed Emmett Till in the worst way. But anyway, I said all this to say this. Also in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Rosewood, it was by the lies and the tears of a white woman that those towns were completely destroyed. These were independent black towns where the black people owned homes, owned properties, owned businesses, and it was a thriving black community. One white woman lied and cried, and ain't no telling what the white woman, so she probably willingly, so you'll see these white women willingly give it up to a black man, then go for her own agenda, and whether she's trying to get money or she got caught and didn't want the stigma of being labeled an in lover, they'll lie and say that they were raped. So it was through the lies and tears of a white woman that these black towns were completely destroyed. Many lives were taken. They were killed. Lynchings happened and everything off the lives of a white woman, because a white woman, even to this very day, weaponizes her tears. They'll call the police. You see the videos. If you go on YouTube right now, Google the videos of these Karens who will sit up and flat out go and harass somebody, initiate contact with somebody, causing trouble, and will turn around, get on her phone, and lie to the police. Oh, I'm scared. I'm in fear of my life. And totally gaslight and flip everything around on the black person or the Mexican person or, the brown person that they're harassing, just to get that black person in trouble. But because we have more access to cell phones and video cameras and ring cameras and all kinds of things, to where we can record these encounters with these Karens and these Kevins, they get away with it less often now, especially with police being required to wear body cameras and things like that. So yeah, I advise any black person, if you have an encounter with white people, start recording. Just hit record on your phone, because they will lie on you in a minute. It is your word against theirs, and 9 times out of 10, the police are going to take their word over yours. So, had this young man in Florida, had he not been recording on his phone, they probably would have killed him, because one of them white men went and got his car, drove back to where the young black boy was walking, drove back up beside him, pulled up along beside him on the curb while he was still walking and filming, and pulled a weapon. Looked like he pulled a gun from, got a gun from his passenger seat. And the other guy that was with him, luckily stopped him, because he got to thinking, this young black man is filming all of this, and if he pulls his gun and he kills him, then all of us are going to jail, because the young man was filming. But had he not been filming, they would have killed him. They would have seriously hurt this young boy or killed him, no doubt. But with that camera was probably saved this young man's life. So his mother, he showed it to his mother, and just like any mother, I would have done it too had it been my son. If he showed me something like that, his mother uploaded that video to the internet, and when she uploaded it to the internet, it went viral, and people were pissed off. They were pissed off so much to the point, and this was white people too. White people of all races were so pissed off. They said, first of all, you ain't got the right to question this boy about nothing just because he's walking minding his business. Who are you to even question him and ask him why he's there and all of this other stuff? So they immediately went into Inspector Gadget mode, Sherlock Holmes mode, and found out who all of them were. And so now these people, these racists, are facing the backlash behind their behavior. And one of them, from what I heard, they found out where he worked, ended up getting suspended from his job. He might even flat out lose his job. And they are just really, a lot of them people are talking about now walking in their neighborhood, and now they might be forced out of the neighborhood by their own homeowners association, because the homeowners association can get together and be like, you know what, y'all brought too much funk into this neighborhood. There's too much going on. Would y'all please sell y'all house and move? Some of their neighbors might shun them. Some of them might agree with them, though. A lot of them might agree with them. But my whole thing is this. When you get caught, don't play victim. Stand on what you're doing. So now the wife is on Facebook. She got confronted. Now she on Facebook trying to clean up their actions, talking about, well, he did flirt and he did this and he was walking around arrogantly. How could he walk around arrogantly? You don't even know him. Because he refused to answer their questions, he was being arrogant. First of all, he ain't got to answer nothing from none of y'all. Who the heck? You know what? It just makes people angry. And that's why people got so angry that they found out who these people were immediately. And they was like, we about to destroy these people for doing this to this young boy. So, because they know that had he not been recorded, had that phone had not been recording, they would have killed him. They most definitely would have killed him. So, yeah, it pissed people off, but that's what happened. They feel that they can come and gentrify black neighborhoods and move and take over black neighborhoods, but you better not be caught in their neighborhoods that's predominantly white. So my whole thing is, if the system was more fair and balanced, we would be able to have our own predominantly black neighborhoods where everybody owns their homes and, live in have the right to a quiet enjoyment in their own neighborhoods. But the system is so screwed up that those type of neighborhoods are few and far in between. But you can go to any town, any country, any city in America, whether it's a small town, rural town, major city, you can go to certain neighborhoods where it is all white people. They all, have a nice, quiet, beautiful neighborhoods, communities. They're all white. And it's just that if they see any of us in those areas, then they're going to create problems for you because they don't feel like you are entitled to have anything as equal to them or better than them. So that's what happened with the case of this young man. It's the same as with Ahmaud Arbery, who was caught in jogging in a neighborhood in Georgia. 3 white men chased him down. They ended up killing him. Somebody recorded it. I think there was another person recorded everything and showed them shooting and killing Mr. Arbery. Shot him down like a dog. Because of that, they thought that they was going to get away with it, but because that recording existed, they ended up getting football numbers in prison, like 30. They get like 25, 30 years apiece or more. So they're going to be old, very, very old, or they're going to die in prison because of what they did. But they tried to get away with it, but because of the video, the video was incriminating evidence that got them caught. So there's another case that had just happened down in Florida, and this woman is still awaiting sentencing. She got into it. She's a white woman, lived across the street from a single black mother who had 4 children. And this white woman was a 58-year-old childless cat lady. quoting what's his name, J.D. Vance. She's a 58-year-old childless cat lady, racist, Karen, who would repeatedly call the police on these kids because they were playing in the neighborhood, and she said they were being loud. And the other neighbors testified and told the police that she would cuss them kids. She would call them all kind of racial slurs. She would threaten to kill these kids and stuff. So one day, this woman, one of the victim's kids left his tablet in the lot they was playing in next to the lady's duplex. So the Karen, I'm gonna call it Karen. The Karen, her real name is Susan Lorenz, took the boy's tablet and threw a skate at him. So he went to go get his mother. She said, "Go get your mama." And soon as the mother approached the door, which was locked, and a deadbolt locked door, the woman fired her gun and ended up killing the mother. Because the mother just was banging on her door, angry, like, come outside. You did something to my children, come outside. This cowardly woman shot this woman through a locked, closed door. Then when they got down to the police station and interrogating her, she's playing the victim. No, let me back up. She got on the phone after she did it, got on the phone crying and stuff to the operator. I'm fearing for my life. She tried to kill me. She was banging on the door. And then they discovered, police, discovered after investigating, this door was locked. You shot her through this door. When they interrogated her, they were like, this don't make sense to us. You shot an unarmed woman through a closed, locked door. She had 2 guns, as a matter of fact. Then they did a search on her computer search history and seen she had looked up Florida's stand your ground laws in order to raise a self-defense. So they told her, it's like you almost premeditated this. She tried to lie her way out of it. She didn't show an ounce of remorse. And she felt like they were inconveniencing her by having her down there interrogating her and making her go through all this stuff. So if you go on YouTube and you look at her interrogation video, it's like she just felt like she did nothing wrong. She was a victim and she just wanted to go back home to her cats. I just want to go home. When they told her, no, you ain't going home. You under arrest. And she just, I just can't do this. I can't. And he's like, you can't do what? I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. They said, oh, yes, you are. They said, we going to do this the easy way or you going to do this the hard way? And they arrested her. So she got convicted. She thought she was going to use a stand your ground defense like George Zimmerman did when he senselessly murdered teenage Trayvon Martin a few years ago, and he got off. He used that stand your ground defense successfully because there weren't any black people on his jury, so this was in Stanford, Florida. That's an even smaller town than Sarasota. And he followed Trayvon and harassed him, ended up killing him. But because it wasn't all caught on video, although it was on audio when he called 911 and said it was a strange black woman or black boy or black man walking in his neighborhood, the operator told him stop following Trayvon, but he still pursued him. Winded up, I think he tried to grab Trayvon or something, and they had a little scuffle, and this man killed him. This George Zimmerman killed him. And, Trayvon died, and he got off, got acquitted. But he just got away in America's justice system. He ain't got away with it with God. So he's going to eventually pay for that on this side of life or the next. But, yeah, back to the case with the teen being followed in Sarasota. So, yeah, they found these people. Completely ruined, they look like their careers. They even doxed them, put their addresses and stuff all online and everything, put their job information, their address and everything online because they were people were just fed up with this type of stuff going on because they know that this would have been a deadly situation for that young man had he not had that phone and been recording. Them people would have beat him to death or killed him and then turned around and concocted the biggest lie that they could tell in order to get off and get away with murder. But they didn't this time. Thank the Lord. But you better be careful, all you racist people out here. All you white supremacists think y'all own the world. The world is changing and you're becoming a minority in this country thanks to the migrant crisis. And that's another thing, too. Why y'all don't have all that smoke for Trinidad Aragua? Y'all don't have all that smoke. Why you cowboys don't have all that smoke for them? Because y'all know they'll kill them and go back. They will kill y'all and go back home. That's what they'll do. They don't have no issue with killing y'all and going back across the border. So y'all don't play around with them like y'all do us. Only reason why we don't do it is because we have a little bit more restraint. We are not a cutthroat people. Most of us are not. Most African Americans, we have more to lose as far as, we just don't have the same violent tendencies. We just don't. But the world is changing. And y'all are not going to be able to just get away with this stuff anymore. And God is going to avenge a lot of the things that have been done to our people. And it has been done for hundreds of years. And at this point now, something has got to give. Something has got to change. You refuse to pay reparations. You give our reparations to illegal aliens. But yet still you give Elon Musk billions of dollars to go play with spaceships and rockets and stuff to go and search for outer space aliens when y'all can't even do nothing about these illegal aliens down here. Take care of your aliens down here before you go looking for some up there, okay? And you don't have no business being up there in the first place. But I'm getting off on other subjects. Let me get back. You racist people, y'all think, you know, you're entitled to do whatever you want to people, to black people and people of color. But that day, that time is coming to an end because people are not taking this stuff no more. I don't care who's in office. People are not going for this no more. You've gotten away with doing this for too long. There's been too many lives lost, too much blood been shed. You have oppressed our people to the point that we're just not going to take this stuff no more from y'all. So, and America's going to pay for that. You're going to pay for this whole wicked system. You're going to pay dearly because you just think you can run the world as white. A lot of white people, majority of white people, I'm going to give it 90% of white people, 95% of white people are white supremacists, whether they are covert or overt or passive, or just direct. White supremacists who have a sense of entitlement that think that all other races are beneath them. And that day is coming to an end quickly. So I hope they keep exposing these people when they, jump out of sequence and act out of pocket like that. I hope they keep getting exposed. People keep uploading these videos and stuff because at the end of the day, this stuff has got to stop and it's going to stop. So I'm going to post a video up there to give you an update on what happened with this. But black people, we just need to start standing up for ourselves and become less assimilated like Native Americans do. Disassociate ourselves from this American mainstream culture, this society and stuff that has, we've been socially conditioned to accept second-class treatment. So this is a new day, y'all, but let me get out of here. I'm going to get home and I'm going to post about some of the news stories when I get home because it's getting dark. All right. Peace. Be blessed. So Cuba right now, Cuba, since this weekend, no, that was today, Cuba they're experiencing a blackout. And they said that this blackout that they're suffering island-wide, an island-wide blackout in Cuba, is a result of a major power grid collapse. It says the Antonio Guterres power plant failed, causing this collapse. It said it is Cuba's most efficient power station, and the entire island has gone black. It's been went black, leaving 10 million people without electricity. The schools were closed. It says recreational and cultural activities, including nightclubs, were also ordered to close. The government said only essential employees of the state-run food, that's the rationing, where they showed a video of them rationing bread and food because they're experiencing a famine down there. So that's the only office that is open, and healthcare facilities and healthcare workers are required to report to work at this point. It said grid officials said they did not know how long it's going to take to restore the electricity. So they have had a complete and total power grid failure down in Cuba. Imagine, man, if they don't have no power down there, what's going to happen is people are going to start committing all kind of crimes down there, engaging in all kind of criminal behavior. And then as soon as they get any type of light, and they might even try it in the dark, with night lamps and stuff, they're going to start trying to come over here. It's going to be more of an influx of Cuban migrants and illegal aliens coming over here if they don't get that power restored anytime soon. So they said Cuba is blaming this on a fuel shortages that they suffer, and they said because they're blaming the U.S. because they have an embargo on Cuba, but that embargo has been in place for about 40-50 years. So they've had power all the way up until now. So you can't blame the U.S. embargo on that. The reason why they're having a fuel shortage is because they depend on Venezuela a lot for fuel and oil. And because Venezuela is going through their own crisis right now, then they're not providing as much oil and fuel, for Cuba. So that also contributed to this fuel shortage that's going on over there. So Lord knows, until they get the electricity and the power restored, Cuba is about to turn into an apocalyptic dumpster fire, because they're about to start acting a fool down there if they don't get them lights back on. So that's crazy, man. 1 minute your life can just turn on a dime. Imagine a whole island or a whole country just completely just going black, like the plug was just pulled and everything just goes dark. That's crazy. So also, John Deere has laid off they've laid off 2,100 workers in the United States to shift its production to Mexico. So over 2,000 workers, 2,100 workers will lose their jobs because their job is moving to Mexico. So not only are the migrants taking jobs over here, they moving the jobs down there to Mexico. So that means it's a further erosion of middle and working class incomes at a rapid pace, and people are falling deeper and deeper into poverty with the rising cost of living and the decrease of jobs that actually pay living wages. People are just plummeting down into poverty. And it's going to get to the point we're going to start having food rationings. Remember the government do they still have those government cheese programs? I don't know if they do. I know they have the food pantries, and them run short when things, get bad. But do they still have commodity government programs? Because we used to get them when I was little, and we get the government cheese and beans and stuff that was bad for your health, but I don't know if they exist anymore. But let this stuff keep on going on, and it's gonna go back to that. Because not only did John Deere lay off these 2,100 workers and ship their jobs to Mexico, because of this Boeing strike that's going on now, 700 people have been furloughed by Spirit Aeros, which provides parts to Boeing airplanes, certain models of these Boeing airplanes. And because Boeing is currently on strike and no production is going on, this company has been affected because they provide parts to those Boeing aircrafts. So they have to furlough 700 people. And they're saying that, the furlough is going to be for the next 3 weeks. However, if this Boeing strike does not end by the end of the year, then they're going to go ahead and lay off those 700 people. And those 700 people are going to lose their jobs. So that's massive job loss. Okay, what else? I think that's about it. But also, I don't know if I discussed that or not, but I'm going to just briefly go over it again. Netanyahu and his war cabinet have decided that they're going to go ahead and attack Iran. They've been in meetings now 3 and 4 times a day, because I've been getting alerts on Telegram. They've been holding meetings on how they're going to execute their plans. And they're going to attack Iran anytime, any day now. So they are not listening to America. They said they are going to target nuclear plants and oil refineries. In addition to, they're going to target Iran's civilian and military leadership. So that means that they are going to hit generals. They're going to hit high-ranking government officials. They're definitely going to go after that Ayatollah Khomeini. he's next on the list. So don't be surprised if he don't wind up dead within the week. The Iranian president, they're going to get him probably. They're going to probably go after Hezbollah's successor to Yahya Sinwar, who they saying is Yahya Sinwar's brother, Mohammed Sinwar. But he's not over in Gaza, though. From what I understand, the brother lives somewhere else abroad. So, but they still are probably going to get him. But that's what they're going to do now. Don't be surprised if you don't see more high-ranking or high-level assassinations within the next few days. In addition to them, now if they pull off something better than that pager electronic attack, that's going to really be something. But yeah, whatever this attack that Israel is planning, they're keeping it close to the vest. They're not sharing it with America or anybody else, to risk any type of leakage. But whatever it's going to be, it's going to be they said, a precise, lethal, and a surprise to the world. And it's going to be nothing like they said you've ever seen before, and you won't know how they did it. So, okay, so, all right, well, so far that's what's going on in the news. There's also some type of fire in Oakland, California, Oakland Hills, California. There is some type of fire going on out there. I don't know if it's been contained or not, but it was a brush fire that has spread. So I'm going to check the updates on that. But until then, that's all I got. So be blessed, you guys. Stay prayed up. Pray for me. Pray for my loved ones. But especially pray for yourself and pray for your loved ones. And just keep watch and pay attention to the things that's going on around us. Because it just indicates that Jesus is about to return very soon. So if you haven't been saved, you haven't been baptized, blood washed, and born again in the name of Jesus Christ, please do so now before it is too late. And with that, I bid you good night. God bless.
Moving to the Middle East, Hamas has confirmed its leader Yahya Sinwar is dead. Israel Defense Forces killed the alleged architect of the October 7th attacks during an operation in southern Gaza yesterday. An IDF spokesperson discussed Sinwar's death on CBS News 24/7 earlier today.
Sinwar didn't fall from the sky. That would have been a great stroke of good luck. We did have some good luck, though, and these were not standard patrols. We have to understand that the IDF was operating on the assumption that there were terrorist commanders of Hamas operating in that area of southern Gaza, which is known as Rafah. We were acting on that intel.
CBS News reporter Haley Ott joins us now from Tel Aviv. Haley, what new details are we learning about the operation that killed Sinwar?
Hello. Yes. Well, we've been learning new details throughout the day from the IDF, the Israeli military. This patrol that was in the Rafah area in Gaza was not looking for Sinwar. It didn't have any specific intelligence about Sinwar. It was out and it encountered 3 militants. 2 were wrapped in blankets, according to the IDF. They were in front of one man who was wearing a vest. The IDF said that those militants threw grenades at the soldiers, and then there was a firefight. Eventually, the militants scattered. The 2 who had been wrapped in the blankets went into one building. The one who was wearing a vest went into another. There was fighting. The 2 initial militants were killed. And then the IDF sent a drone into that second building to assess the situation there. They released that drone footage, which we can't independently verify, but it appears to show the person who they say is Sinwar in his final moments. It shows him sitting in a chair covered in dust, wounded in his arm, and he turns around, he sees the drone, he throws something at it. Shortly after that, the IDF said that that's when they fired from a tank into that building. The building collapsed and Sinwar was killed. Then they said that by that time, many hours had gone by. It was nighttime, and out of fear of stumbling upon some potential booby traps in that building, they left the recovery mission till the next morning. It was only then that they recognized potentially that this person could have been Sinwar, and that's when the identification work began and when they confirmed that they had in fact killed the leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar.
How is Hamas responding?
It took some time for Hamas to respond. We've heard from them now today. The group issued a statement that sort of acknowledged Sinwar's death and mourned it, and it was relatively short. Then we got another statement from a senior Hamas official who spoke a little bit more about Sinwar, about what his death means, and sort of reiterated what we've been hearing also on the ground from people that we speak to, that our colleagues speak to in Gaza, about what this might mean for Hamas, for the future of Hamas. He said that Hamas is a movement. It's not pinned around any one individual. So while they may mourn the loss of their leader, it doesn't mean the end of Hamas by any means.
Haley Ott, thank you.
Our top story tonight on Gravitas is about how America helped Israel kill Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, the man behind Hamas's October 7 attack on Israel. After a year of the Gaza war, the Israeli soldiers killed Sinwar. Israel celebrated his death. The U.S. congratulated the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the achievement. The Americans even took credit for it, hailing how American soldiers helped Israeli troops locate and track Sinwar. As more information emerged, a huge question arose. Was the major relief that Israel and the US were celebrating only possible due to a chance encounter? We asked that question because reports suggest that Sinwar was killed by soldiers who reportedly just stumbled upon him, unaware of whom they had killed. You heard that right. You see, initial reports said that the soldiers were not there on an assassination operation, suggesting that they had no prior intelligence that they could be in the vicinity of the elusive Hamas leader. It was only after they took a closer look at his face and found identity documents on him that the troops realized they had got Yahya Sinwar. You see, we are talking about a man that Israel wanted to kill the most. This is the head of a group that Israel wants to wipe off the face of the earth. Over the course of the war, the Israel Defense Forces have smashed much of Gaza. According to estimates, they have killed more than 42,000 Palestinians. Around 2 million Gazans have been displaced from their homes. A humanitarian disaster has been unleashed upon Gaza. And it is the same man who was also behind the killing of 1,200 Israelis and the hostages taken from Israel on the fateful day last October. Sinwar's last reported sighting had been just a few days after the 7th October attack. He had reportedly appeared out of a Gaza tunnel where a group of hostages were being held. In fluent Hebrew, Sinwar had reassured them that they were safe. He told the Israeli hostages that they would soon be exchanged for Palestinian prisoners. And then around October 10, a video reportedly recorded on Hamas security cameras and found by the Israeli military months later showed Sinwar following his wife and 3 children through a narrow tunnel and disappearing into the murk. The Israeli manhunt that followed after the events of October 7 saw Israel use advanced technology as well as brute force to capture the Hamas leader. Israel's hunt to nab Sinwar resulted in extremely high civilian casualties in Gaza. Israel showed that it will go to any lengths to kill the Hamas leader and destroy his circle. The Israeli operation included intelligence officers, special operation units from the IDF, military engineers, as well as surveillance experts, all working under the umbrella of the Israeli Security Agency. What they were really trying to do was achieve redemption. After all, it was their security failure that allowed Hamas to breach Israel's defenses and take Israeli hostages on October 7. But despite their efforts to achieve their goal on a war footing, they faced a year of frustration. Over the past year, There was some discussion at the negotiating tables in Cairo and Doha about the possibility of a deal that would involve Sinwar going into exile. Whatever the circumstances were leading up to his killing, the situation in West Asia changes dramatically now. The point is that the man behind the October 7 attack that triggered the Gaza war is dead. Will his death stop the war is the question. US President Joe Biden has congratulated Israel on its announcement of killing the Hamas leader. He has called Sinwar's death a relief for Israel, and most importantly, Biden has called the death a step towards ending the Gaza war. He said that the US helped Israeli forces locate and track Sinwar along with more of Hamas's leaders. Biden also said that the death of Sinwar was an opportunity for a political settlement to the conflict. Listen in.
The death of the leader of Hamas represents a moment of justice. He had the blood of Americans and Israelis, Palestinians and Germans and so many others on his hands. I told the Prime Minister of Israel yesterday, let's also make this moment an opportunity to seek a path to peace, a better future in Gaza without Hamas. And I look forward to discussing Iran.
As far as the United States is concerned, Sinwar's death removes an obstacle to ending the Gaza war. In fact, Biden has said that this is an opportunity for a day after in Gaza. He is batting for a political settlement that provides a better future for Israelis and Palestinians alike. Could Sinwar's death then pave the way for the talks to happen? Hamas has repeatedly said that it supports a ceasefire deal, a deal that would see an end to the war and release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to continue fighting until total victory. Vice President and Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris also said that Sinwar's death means it is time for the day after to begin. Is Washington being too optimistic? Because the Biden administration's optimism for ending the war stands in complete contrast to what Netanyahu is still saying. He has said that Israel's mission in Gaza is not yet complete. So then what is the way forward for Gaza and West Asia in general? Only time will tell.
To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Hay 12, ¿no? Sí. Son 12 más 24. ¿Y cómo cambia la dinámica? ¿Cómo tienen que resolver? Más nada. Escribo cualquier cosa, nada más. Bueno.
We are following breaking news in Moline this afternoon, where Deere & Company has confirmed additional layoffs. The company started laying off employees back in May in a move that has impacted around 1,800 workers across the company. News 8's Drew Coffey is live at John Deere Harvester Works in East Moline. Drew, how many workers are we talking about this time?
Yeah, Shelby, just today, John Deere announced that 287 employees from local facilities will be laid off effective January 3rd. Now, among those facilities is right here in East Moline at the Harvester Works and in Deere's Davenport Works, as well as Moline's seed and cylinder operations. Now, they say that those local facilities will be having layoffs due to a lack of demand in products made at those facilities. But this past fiscal year, they say that those layoffs will be due to a lack of farming economy interest and a lack of customer orders at John Deere products. They also say that employees who have been laid off recently will get employee supplemental pay up to 26 weeks, depending on how long they've worked at the company. Now, this is a story that we'll continue covering when new additional information presents themselves, and we'll be covering the story moving forward. Shelby, back to you.
All right. Thanks, Drew.
Good afternoon, Kansas. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mally Jones. Spirit AeroSystems will furlough 700 workers for at least 21 days. KSN's Derek Lytle is tracking this development.
Mally, those 700 workers will be furloughed starting October 28th. A Spirit spokesperson said those impacted are part of a 767 and 777 programs. He says the company has built so many, they don't have any room to store more. Spirit is taking other cost-saving measures as well. This is as the machinist strike at Boeing continues. The spokesperson says they have a hiring freeze along with travel and overtime restrictions. I reached out to the union that represents Spirit machinists, but they have yet to get back to me. Now, coming up at 5 and 6 on KSN News, I'll talk to a local temp agency about what Spirit employees can do while they're furloughed. I'll also be diving into the financial side of the decision to unpack how long this furlough could last. Could it lead to job cuts completely? I'll bring you all those details later this evening. Here for you, Derek Lytle, KSN News 3.
Well, happening right now, the latest on yet another big story that we're also following after police arrested more than a dozen people suspected of being Tren de Aragua gang members right here in San Antonio.
The arrests were during a raid this weekend at the Palacia Apartments off Sahara Drive on the north side. News 4 San Antonio's Jay Avila has been following this story for months, reporting the gang members had been terrorizing the apartment complex.
Yeah, he spoke with the property owner to get his reaction on the months-long investigation, and Marisa Mendoza talked with Catholic Charities, an entity assisting migrants with their stay at the complex.
But first we start with Jay. Jay, what did the manager tell you?
Well, Jonathan and Mandy, it is a massive apartment complex near the airport with 678 units. The owner tells me gang members were breaking into vacant units and renting them to immigrants from the city's Migrant Resource Center, even writing up phony leases. Grainy cell phone video shot by frightened tenants shows men fighting in common areas where children play. And gunshots fired at night. Examples of what life has been like at the Palacia Apartments.
As you know, we've been battling these issues for almost a year now, and it's progressively gotten worse.
See that there's no glass anymore? So this has been kicked in. It's gone.
I first talked to Palacia's owner, John Barker, back in June, when he showed me some of the units that had been broken into and lived in. At the time, he suspected there was a connection to the migrant facility previously operated by the city near the airport, and was frustrated he wasn't getting more help from city officials.
I asked him to please bring in police to help us. We'll pay for a substation.
Barker didn't know at the time SAPD and other agencies had started investigating members of the Venezuelan gang called Tren de Aragua, which eventually resulted in Saturday's early morning raid.
We're very thankful, and we have so much gratitude to what the SAPD's done.
Barker says he's learned more about how gang members were targeting immigrants at the Migrant Resource Center and luring them to his sprawling complex.
They were meeting them at the migration station saying, we can house you, you can pay us, here's a formal lease. And so that's exactly what was happening, is that they were basically setting up an enterprise of leasing out these vacant units.
Barker says as crime and vandalism increased, more of his long-term residents moved out, creating more vacant units, with intruders eventually breaking into about 250 of them. Barker says he was struck by the similarity to allegations of Tren de Aragua members taking over apartments in Aurora, Colorado.
In my 25 years of doing this, I've never seen anything remotely like this.
As a matter of fact, law enforcement referred to the raid Saturday as Operation Aurora. Now, Chief McManus mentioned a Tren de Aragua enforcer was among those arrested, and Barker told us at one point earlier this year, one of his security team members was shot at, so it was a dangerous situation.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to get all the latest news right here.
She was convicted of running a huge criminal enterprise stretching from Atlanta to Detroit and several other states. The story of Big Meech, who headed up the Black Mafia family, is also the source of a popular TV show that has been filmed right here in Atlanta. And this week, after serving nearly 20 years in prison for racketeering, drug dealing, and running a criminal enterprise, he is out of prison. 11 Alive's Erica Murphy has more on his release and his sordid past.
Demetrius Flannery and his brother, Terry, ran one of the country's largest drug operations during the late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. The pair had hundreds of employees, generated hundreds of millions of dollars, and even had a successful record label and magazine. But in 2006, the brothers were indicted in a federal RICO case originating out of Georgia.
BMF was the first group that was accused of being both a criminal organization and a record label.
Attorney Josh Schiffers says Demetrius, also known as Big Meech, is highly regarded because he never took a deal or snitched on his co-conspirators.
And he went down. And when he went down, he and his brother were sentenced to 30 years in prison.
In 2020, Terry Flannery was released, and just this week, Big Meech was released from prison. He will serve the remainder of his sentence at a halfway house in Miami. Reporting from Atlanta, Erica Murphy, 11 Alive News.